일어나, 집이다. 누가 들어왔어?
오빠!
Thank you so much for having us today. We are Habit Ciné, we are French media, and we are so glad to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
After the premiere of your movie
Yes.
last night, so it's your first movie, isn't it too much pressure?
It was pressure, a lot of pressure. Although my dream was to become a director ever since I worked in the film industry, I never imagined that it would come to fruition, it would become reality for some reason, which is very weird. So when the film was greenlit, I realized, okay, I have to direct this, and I felt a lot of pressure, especially because the actors were legendary actors, veterans of Korean cinema. And I was scared that they might not treat me as a legitimate director because it was my first time. But I was wrong, because the first day they were very passionate about the project. Even the cast and even the crew, everybody was so passionate, and we all worked together to make this project work. So I was very lucky in that sense.
Great. Yeah. And how did you came up with the idea of the movie?
The idea of sleepwalking as a horror film, I think everybody once in their lifetime comes across a horrific sleepwalking story, whether that be somebody jumps off a building while they're asleep, or somebody drives while sleeping, or harming someone by their bedside while sleeping. And I was always so shocked about these stories, and I thought it would create a exciting horror film on the surface level. But as time went on, I became curious about the lives of these sleepwalking patients. How would they function everyday life? And more importantly, how would their loved ones, the people who have to be by them every day, what would their lives look like? And I thought exploring this would be an interesting story.
It is.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
All right. So you said last night in your introduction that it's kind of a feel-good horror movie.
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with this mix of different types of films?
I think the movies I enjoy watching are usually stories with characters that are warm-hearted, kind people. There aren't evil people versus good people. I like films that people are usually just warm-hearted and kind, but the situation is very stressful and they have to deal with the situation. And because those are the movies that I like, I think even though I made a horror film with an incredibly terrifying and stressful situation, because the two characters are warm-hearted and they love each other very much, I think that makes the film feel good to some extent, if you know what I mean. So there's a warm cloak over the story that makes it, I think, feel good. And I'm very proud that that it's labeled as a feel-good horror film. I've never heard that before, and I'm very proud that it evokes such feelings.
And I think it's the first time ever that a horror movie could be called a feel-good
Oh yeah?
movie.
I love that. Très bien, I really like it.
And in the movie, as you just said, there is a lot about love with your other half, love
Yes.
for a child, and a lot of fear. Do you think love and fear always go together?
I think love and fear always go together because, in a relationship, your love for one another is the most precious thing in life. And because it's the most precious thing in life, what you fear the most is you losing that love. So I think it's a different side of the same coin, love and fear. And so yes, they absolutely do go together. Yeah.
And this is the best material ever to do a movie. talk about love and the fear involved?
I think so. It's interesting because while I was creating Sleep, a lot of personal elements seeped into the story when I was writing the screenplay. I was preparing to marry my longtime girlfriend, now wife, who's with me at the festival. Thank you so much. And because of that, the themes that I had in my life, I was thinking about in my life, were about love, about marriage, what a good marriage would be. And I think because of that, the two main characters are a married couple, and the story is about their marriage. And I guess because of that, the themes are about their love, and the horror within the story would be this loving couple separating, deciding not to be with each other because of how tough the situation is. Them giving up on their love was, I think, a bigger horror to the story than the sleepwalking itself.
Okay. And when you said you had personal elements in the movie, do you sleepwalk?
I don't sleepwalk, no, but I am a big snorer, and I have sleep apnea, so I always have like a machine that I need to sleep, and my wife, she has to tolerate this every day.
She's very patient.
She's very patient, yeah.
This is the one. You have to keep her.
Yes, she is the one. And like the film, I think a lot of our characters were mirrored in the film as well. For example, the husband's character is an unsuccessful actor who has low self-esteem. And when I was writing the screenplay, I was an unemployed filmmaker, with very low self-esteem. And in the film, the wife character is much more financially and socially successful, and my wife was always financially and socially more successful than I was. That being said, both wives were always encouraging of us, They always said, you're the best, you can do it. One day they'll see, and I would be like, oh, I don't know, but okay, thank you. So we have a similar dynamic.
Okay. She was right.
The
movie is an absolute...
Thank you so much. You're very kind.
And I have one last question regarding who you work with. I have to ask, how was it to work with Bong Joon-ho?
Bong Joon-ho. It was when I graduated from university. My first job was to work as an assistant director for the film Okja, directed by Bong Joon-ho. It was it was a dream come true, and even then I was very honored to be able to work with him. And thinking about it now, I can safely say that everything I know about filmmaking, I learned from director Bong Joon-ho while he was working on Okja. I worked in Okja for about 2.5 years, from pre-production, filming, post-production, and even promotion. So I got to observe him and how he does his work as a director during that time. And although at that time I was so busy, doing my own work and trying my best not to ruin his film, I didn't realize I was learning anything. But when I was creating Sleep, I realized I was mimicking him. I was trying to mimic him in every stage of production. And then I realized, okay, I owe everything I know to Okja and director Bong Joon-ho.
Great. And one very last question.
Okay.
Can you pitch the movie for those who haven't seen it yet?
So Sleep, do you want me to give like a synopsis or a
pitch, something
okay.
very quick?
Right. Usually, I think the interesting thing about Sleep is that usually horror films or genre films, the protagonist tries to escape the threat, escape the horror. But the fun thing about Sleep is that because the threat, the horror, is someone you love, is also someone you want to protect with your life, so you can't escape it. You have to be with the horror, be with the threat, and face the threat head on and overcome this problem. And I think that's a unique structure of Sleep and what you find interesting in this film. Does that make
I think
sense?
so. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
want to see it again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Ah.
And it was really great to meet you.
Thank you for the great and fun interview.
Thank you.
I'm very honored.
그래프가 이런 패턴일 때는 램 수면 행동 장애를 앓고 있다.
오빠? 고칠 수 있는 거죠? 램수면?
네.
남자 둘을 데리고 사나이?
내 딸 죽일 거예요? 조용히 살고 싶어.